People don't often think about signature moves in football, but maybe they should. In football, a player can be known for all types of plays: catching, rushing the passer, or even blocking for others. Today, we show off the 10 greatest signature moves in NFL history, starting with one we're pretty certain you've yelled out before. Randy Moss, jump ball. There isn't a more famous move in the history of football than Randy Moss's jump ball. Randy became so synonymous with winning jump balls, they renamed the action to mossing someone. I mean, look at all the signature moves across time and sports. How many were completely rebranded after someone so good at it? Good isn't a good enough term, but you get it. Randy Moss outjumped NFL defenders for a decade plus, sometimes even 2 or 3 at a time. He isn't called the Freak for nothing. Bigger, stronger, and faster than his opponents, when you lob it up to Moss early and often, good things happen. Moss came into the league jumping over people with no discrimination. As a rook, he caught a rookie record 17 touchdowns. Then, later in his career, set the regular season receiving touchdown record with 23. His famous move made him the ultimate red zone threat. Mossing is so famous, he has a segment on TV every week where Moss rates other jump balls. If you played defense in the 2000s, chances are you got mossed. Dwight Freeney, spin move. Dwight Freeney isn't built like most defensive ends. Only 6'1", 260 pounds, his first step was more like an eruption. Before blockers got out of their stance, Freeney had them in panic mode. Terrified of his speed, it opened Freeney up for his patented spin move. In seconds, Freeney went from wrapping around blockers to putting them in the spin cycle. Tackles could barely see him, let alone get a hand on him. Freeney continued to get better with it, and it became basically unstoppable, leading to a large portion of his 125.5 career sacks. Nothing prettier than a perfectly timed spin move, getting oohs and ahs from the crowd. And nobody did it better than Freeney, whose spin has almost single-handedly created a Hall of Fame career. Patrick Mahomes, no-look pass. What's really the plan when a quarterback doesn't even look in the direction he's throwing dimes to? The no-look pass has been a staple of NBA point guards for generations, but we've never really seen it in the NFL. That is, until Patty Mahomes blew the doors off the league. The Ravens became the first victim of the no-looker, Mahomes converting a first down on the unexplainable move. How is that even possible? Since then, Mahomes does it about 5 to 6 times a year, and he's scary accurate with it. Your team's QB is probably scared to even try it in practice, and Mahomes will break it out at the most important times of the game. The no-look pass attempts truly sum up the flair that makes Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes. Reggie White, hump move. Going back to the defensive line, the name Reggie White is synonymous with the hump move. White's hump move is unblockable, the football version of Kareem's skyhook. Reggie White stuck his hand in the inside armpit of some of the world's largest, strongest athletes before discarding them like yesterday's paper. Tackles, guards, fullbacks, it didn't matter. No one was safe. White was so strong and dominant, and his signature hump move personified it. Even J.J. Watt was in awe of White's famous move, saying, "If I could throw a 325-pound man 10 yards with one hand, I would do it every day." But that's what made Reggie so special. Nearly every time Reggie got his hands on a blocker, he was taken clean off his feet and pushed out of the way before racking up one of his 198 career sacks. Charles Tillman, peanut punch. Getting the ball back to your offense is the name of the game defensively. Turnovers can change the complexion of a game in just one play, and no one did that better than Charles Peanut Tillman. Tillman racked up 44 forced fumbles in his career, more than any other non-defensive lineman in NFL history. How, you ask? The peanut punch. When he went in for a tackle, Tillman would actually right-hand jab the ball, jarring it loose. His ability to force fumbles changed the way teams practice today. Every team adjusted their tackling technique and added in the peanut punch to their arsenal. Long after Charles Tillman's playing days, his name will be forever immortalized in football with his peanut punch. Peanut became infamous to NFL ball carriers, who would practice ball security specifically each week they played the Chicago Bears. Odell Beckham Jr., one-handed catch. OBJ's one-handed grabs are like the Most of this generation. Did Odell create the one-handed catch? Obviously not. Did he change it forever? Well, you know the answer to that. And he did it with just one catch and one hand, falling. Perhaps the greatest catch ever. But that's far from the only time OBJ did the unthinkable. It's like he salivates when the quarterback skies a ball that looks out of the reach of everybody. Maybe Eli Manning should be actually credited for the one-hand catch craze. The reason Odell makes it look so easy is partly thanks to his outrageously large 10-inch hands. For reference, LeBron James, 9 inches taller than OBJ, only has 9-inch hands. OBJ has changed football forever. Everybody is trying one-handed catches, in practice, in games, and even at the younger levels. Before every game, you'll see receivers warming up and trying to replicate Odell. It's to the point where receivers started to practice one-handers on the jugs machine, but none of them are quite like OBJ and his level of flair. Barry Sanders, jump cut. Barry Sanders is arguably the most electric player of all time, and a lot of that was largely due to the jump cut. Barry Sanders' jump cut is the NFL equivalent to Allen Iverson's crossover. Sanders was a threat to take it the distance with every touch. A lot of people can get from 0 to 100 quick, but Barry could go from 100 to 0 just as fast. He would actually jump laterally, finding the open seam in the defense without losing a single ounce of explosion or speed. Then he could do it again, in any direction, at will. If Sanders got into the open field, just call it quits. No ankles were spared. Sanders was ready to use that jump cut and freeze defenders in their tracks. Left or right, the jump dodged would-be tacklers and put him into the perfect spot to take it to the house. Troy Polamalu, line leap. The athleticism, recognition, timing, and natural instincts it takes to pull off this signature move is the reason it's only been done consistently by one man, Troy Polamalu. Polamalu would hear the quarterback's cadence and slowly creep to the line like a lion on the prowl. Somehow, like a sixth sense, Polamalu would jump over the center just as he snapped it and pounced on the quarterback, tackling him before the play even started. It was a move that summed up Polamalu's frenetic play style. Do you realize how dumb you would look if you tried that and it failed? And he would try it at the most critical time in the game. It was unpredictable, out of its mind, and it made you do the Leonardo DiCaprio point at the screen the second you saw it. He launched through the air on the Titans, mauling their quarterback on the goal line and stopping a sneak before it had any prayer of working. There's a reason you had never seen it before 43, and probably won't anymore either. Tom Brady, QB sneak. Tom Brady is the GOAT at winning Super Bowls, manufacturing epic comebacks, and throwing tons of touchdowns. But there's something else he's the best ever at as well: quarterback sneaks. We know what you're thinking. Brady running what? But we aren't talking sneaks like when Lamar decides to tuck and run for 50 yards. We're talking about when it's 4th and 1 and you just need a yard. Who's diving through the line to get it? Since 2001, Brady has attempted 175 sneaks, twice as many as anyone else, and has the highest conversion rate of all. It's not that he's a freak athlete like Cam Newton or as massive as Big Ben, but he's gritty, willing to do anything for the team, and he always finds the soft spot to break through the line. He's as automatic as Steph Curry at the free throw line. 15 teams in the NFL have never stopped him on a sneak. Brady has converted 82% of sneaks in his career, throwing his body among 1,500 pounds of blockers and people trying to rip his head off. Among the gladiators of the game, the GOAT is still, well, the GOAT. Larry Allen, pancake block. There is nothing more demoralizing than being blocked, shoved against your own will, and put on your back. You were dominated at the point of contact, and now a massive 300-pound behemoth is laying on top of you, basking in the fact that he did it. Nobody, I mean nobody, did it quite like Larry Allen. Allen was the strongest player in NFL history, as well as the most explosive and agile blocker for 2 decades. The Cowboys would pull Allen as the lead blocker for their potent rushing attack and running behind 73 all the way to glory or a touchdown, whichever came first. Larry Allen was devastating on contact, flattening defenders like a pancake with ease, moving the world's greatest athletes wherever he wanted to place them against their will. There are very few offensive linemen that have highlight films, and there's even fewer that you can't take your eyes off of. Larry Allen was the buzzsaw mowing people over and handing out enough pancakes to make an IHOP proud, or worried that he might put them out of business.